Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division show. Did you all enjoy the international break? At least Ireland won, didn't they? To be fair, but most people they don't enjoy the international break, do they? I'll be honest. In terms of international football, this isn't just Ireland. This is just international football on the whole. I'm not as into it as I used to be into it. I think there's too many games generally and stuff like that, and you just miss the League of Ireland basically when it's on. Let me know in the comments what you think about the international break as a general. On to the games. Actually, before we get into that, just make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. Pause the video for 2 seconds. I'm going nowhere. Please subscribe. If you'd like to become an Irish Footy Vlogs member as well, check out the link in the description and a link in the comments. Now, 5 games on Friday night. Let's get straight into it. So, as I mentioned, 5 games on Friday night, and Bohemians take on Galway United at Daily Mount Park. Galway United third in the table on 10 points. The only side unbeaten in the Premier Division now are Galway United. Bows, ninth in the league at the moment, 2 wins, 4 defeats. Been disappointing. They've obviously had a break to maybe have a look at things after their defeat against Pats. Galway, very tough to beat, very tough to beat. Bowls, they're going to have to play really well in this game to even get a point, if I'm honest with you. You can see a situation where Galway literally let Bohemians have the ball, and have Bohemians got the wherewithal to be able to move the ball quickly, break them down, cause problems. That's the question for Bohemians. Galway will always be a problem. Counter-attack, set pieces, as we all know. As far as I know, there's no new players out for both sides going into the game. Again, with Bows, you're never sure what you're going to get with their lineup. And I mentioned this after the Pats game. You're just never sure. And that's a problem. They're the one side that you look at and you kind of go, what's their best 11? What's their best system even? But they're going to have to move the ball much quicker. Move the ball much quicker. Maybe play a little bit more direct as well. Teams, it's easy to set up. It's in this league as well. I always think it's easy for teams to set up defensively and stop a team from playing if they're playing the ball around the back line quite consistently. And I've seen teams do that, and I've seen Bows do that at times as well this season too. And pedestrian stuff, left back to centre back, or sorry, left centre back to right centre back, etc. If they're playing a back forward, they've played a back three as well. Back to him, this kind of thing. And, in the end, you hoof it long, sort of a thing. So, Bows are going to have to improve big time in that regard. Galway, they're the type of team, Galway, as well, where they rarely play very poorly. They can have games where they're not brilliant, but they very rarely play very poorly. You're getting a 6 out of 10 performance from Galway, usually. They should be confident coming into this game. But it's a strange one because when I spoke about Bohemians away to Waterford, I was saying at the time, logically, Bows shouldn't get anything out of the game. So, they can win the game. Bows can definitely win this football match. They've got enough quality to be able to win this football match. There's no doubt about it. But Galway are a real team unit, aren't they? A real team unit. And Caulfield, has them playing as a serious team unit. And some would argue that Bows individually as a whole have probably better individual footballers than Galway United. But it's about a team, and it's about how a team comes together. And at the moment, Bows could win this 3-0, but even aside from that, Galway United are a better team than Bohemians, and they proved that last season as well. As for the result and prediction, I'll go for Bohemians 1, Galway United 1. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, at Turner's Cross, it's old mates Kevin Doherty and Tim Clancy face off against each other in this battle. Drogheda, of course, probably wouldn't have wanted the international break to come, even though they lost their last match. I still think they wouldn't have wanted it to come. Cork, I'd say a little happier because of the injuries they've had. I do believe Maguire and Bulger will still be out for the next couple of weeks. Cottle Sullivan may return for this one. McLaughlin, not too sure about either. Drogheda United, of course, missing Dougie still. Josh Thomas might be back for this one, I believe. Certainly available for selection. But Dougie James Taylor, we miss him for this one. Elisha, of course. Lamb has done quite well, though, I have to say. Bulger might be back as well for this, I'd imagine, too. So I would say Drogheda, on the whole, being a cleaner bill of health. But both teams are missing top forwards for this game. And look, I always want to see the best players in the pitch for every team. So if you had a Dougie James Taylor and a Sean Maguire, it's a bit more mouth-watering, let's be honest, isn't it, on the field? But they're not going to be in the field. Cork City are unbeaten at Turner's Cross this season, and the remarkable thing about the league is if Cork City were to beat Drogs are top, and they've had a brilliant start. If Cork City win this game, they're 2 points behind Drogheda with a game in hand. Crazy to think. And what a start to the season would be if Cork City were to win the game. Rory Keating has scored against Drogheda United before in the past, and a bit like the Drogheda fans, the Cork City fans they can drag the ball into the net a little bit, I think. Their home crowd is very strong and quite noisy, as are the Drogheda ones, of course, as well. Drogheda have been brilliant so far this season, but Kevin Doherty will be fully aware that, you can be brilliant one moment and you can be getting your ass kicked the next moment. And that's how it is in this league, isn't it, to be honest? But geez, they were taking that start. 6 games gone to be on 11 points. Where will they finish? We don't know. But they could look back at the end of the season and say that start was critical. Cork City, as I said, solid start. Only 1 defeat in 5 themselves. So they've been tough to beat, and they'll be happy with that. The draw at Shelbourne would have given them a lot of confidence, particularly with the players that are missing. As for the game, I'm actually going to go for... I think there might be goals in this one, despite the fact that both teams are missing forwards. I just think it'd be an open kind of a game. But I'm going for another draw here. Cork City 2, Drogheda United 2. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, the showgrounds, Sligo Rovers take on Shelbourne. This is an interesting game because Sligo Rovers obviously are bottom of the league on 4 points, 1 win. But their 1 win and draw came in the last 3 games. They put in a very disappointing performance, it has to be said, against Derry Sydney in their last outing, which was also the showgrounds. You're hoping the pitch is in better condition now, a couple of weeks later with the international break, etc. And the weather hasn't been too bad. So you're hoping the pitch is a bit better also, as you're hoping most pitches around the country, not just the showgrounds, are much better now with the week off as such. But they'd be eager to put in a much better performance. They haven't got a great record at home, the Shells. In fact, if I look quickly at the head-to-head here, they did beat Shells last time they played, to be honest, at the Showgrounds 2-1. But they lost 1-0, 1-0 at the Showgrounds, 3-0, in the last couple of games as well. So Shelbourne have done quite well against Sligo Rovers at the Showgrounds. But yeah, they'll be having to put in a better performance at home, and it'd be interesting to see how they go about it in terms of their team selection. I'd imagine Eldin will be in for this one. Keane Cavan will be up front, and Fitzgerald has been playing really well. Will be on the left for Sligo Rovers. Midfield, they've made a few changes there, but Hakiki, they'll be hoping he plays. I know he's been on international duty, but he's done well there, by the way. Jade Hakiki will play for me, and Hayes just looks a bit off it in terms of fitness, but that's a good thing because you feel if he can get his fitness up, then maybe he can improve. Defensively, of course, they've given away bad goals recently this season. Shells still haven't won at 4. It's a big game for Shelbourne. They've got Pats the following week at Richmond as well, I think. I think it's at Richmond actually the following week. It is, yeah. So they've 2 away games in a row here. And this is obviously a massive game for them going to the showgrounds, and they'll be eager to put in a performance stuff. I'm sure they probably would have been happy with this break to give them a bit of a reset. And what's happening in Shelbourne a lot of the time, I've mentioned this before, is that teams are actually setting up defensively against them. Now, I don't think Sligo will do that, Sligo Rovers, and I think that might suit Shelbourne to a degree. Sligo Rovers always try and attack teams, even if they're inferior, let's say, to the opposition. They'll always try and attack teams, and they play a nice style of football, but that might feed into Shelbourne in this game a little bit. Shelbourne, will Ellis Chapman play against his former club or start? I'm sure he'll make an appearance against his former club, etc., etc. They've changed their midfield a number of times this season. Did it go back to Lunny and Kyle? McEnroy's done well, however. That's an interesting one. But I think it's not a must win for Shell so early in the season, but the more games go out, you can't imagine the champions going 5 games without winning, exactly, that kind of way. But The problem is, from Shelbourne's perspective, I do expect a much better Sligo Rovers performance than the one we've seen against Derry. So Shelbourne going to have to be on it and play well. Get back to that defensive quality that they've shown as a unit. That's been lost a little bit in the last few weeks. Not ruthless enough in front of goal either. They're not really scoring more than one goal at the moment either. But I think, as I said, the way Sligo Rovers play, this might help Shells. And for that reason, I'm going to go for Shelbourne win. I'm going to go for Sligo Rovers 0, Shelbourne 1. Now, another team I think that would have been happy enough with the break would have been Waterford FC. They take on St. Patrick's Athletic at the RSC on Friday. And, Waterford, to be fair, 3 wins and 3 defeats for them, 5th in the league, 9 points. They would have been reasonably pleased with the start. But it's the last couple of performances overall I don't think they'd be too happy with. So having that break maybe didn't do them any harm. Ron McDonald should be back as well, and bits and pieces like that. They did well against Pats last season at the RSC, beating them twice as well. In particular, a good 3-1 win early on in the season at the RSC. So, Keith Longside will be confident and have no fear going into this game. Pats will be reasonably happy with their start. I think reasonably happy. I don't think they've been brilliant, but they're in amongst the pack. They're notoriously slow starters, so to be in amongst the pack, they'll be happy with it. I do think Pats will get better as the season goes on. So if they're in around the top, they'll be satisfied with that. It's a game, interestingly, of course, Barry Bagley goes back to Waterford, but Jamie Lennon possibly could be back for Pats for this one. If he is, I still don't think he starts, personally. Ryan McLaughlin, another one as well. Waterford, I think, will continue with the 2 up front, Podge Hammond and obviously Tommy Lonergan against his former club. Andy Boyle, they'll be hoping he's available for this game as well. It's the one area, they usually play 3 at the back with 2 wing backs. Pats have struggled against that a little bit. But the way Waterford play, they don't play very defensively. Now, sometimes you've no choice if the opposition have the ball, but they'll try and play in the front foot if they can, particularly at home. So they will in this particular match. And Pats, whereas I said, will be reasonably pleased with their start. Their away form hasn't been good. They've been beaten in Galway, and they were beaten in Tallaght Stadium against Shamrock Rovers, for example. So Pats won't be very happy with their away form, and will probably target this game as a game that, they need to be getting points out. If you're going to win a league, of course you need to be good at home, but you need to be pretty good away. If you're really good at home, let's say, pretty good away. So 2 defeats for Pats away from home so far this season. Waterford, for their part of the RSC, I remember seeing this earlier, so I'm just reminding myself, they've 1 win and 2 defeats. So their home form, their away form has been better. What's that down to, you might say? I think they've been pretty decent on the counter-attack this season. They might play this, I know I was saying they like to get in the front foot, but they possibly might play this a little bit like their away from home and try and play on the counter-attack against Pats, which could catch Pats out. They may do that and expect Pats to have a lot of the ball. It's a tough one. It's a really interesting game because for me, can Pats get back-to-back wins here and get the first away win of the season? And then you're kind of looking with 2 games to go in the full round of games, decent start, Whereas Waterford, they haven't drawn any matches this season, notably as well. But they've threats up front, and Podge Hammond, he's such a fox in the box, so he is. And if he gets any opportunities, generally 9 times out of 10, Hammond will put them in the net. To be honest, he's been helped by Lonergan. I think Lonergan helps with the press an awful lot. To be fair, Pats, the interesting thing is they've got Keane and Melia. Melia became the youngest Irish under-21 player to score when he won and scored a penalty for the Irish under-21s the other day. But I still think they start Keane in this one, especially because Melia was away in international duty. But it's a nice issue to have for Pats. Keane or Melia, swap between, etc. I just sense Pats might nick this one and pick up their first away win of the season, but it wouldn't surprise me if Watford got a draw or a win, to be honest. Waterford FC 1, St Patrick's Leg 2. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, Tallaght Stadium, Shamrock Rovers take on Derry City, both in 7 points in the league. Shamrock Rovers have played 5 games. Shamrock Rovers will be pleased that they won their last 2 games and they can get themselves really in there if they could beat Derry City at Tallaght Stadium. It's a big pitch, as we know. Tallaght Stadium, a decent sized pitch, it's a good pitch, as we know, as well. Derry City will be delighted with that win in Sligo Rovers. Not a brilliant performance, but I don't think they almost needed more of that type of win than even a brilliant performance, if I'm honest, because they've had games this season where they've been beaten and they haven't really looked like they could maybe grind a result out. They grinded a result out at the showground, so I think that'd be very pleasing, to be honest, for Tiernan Lynch. Michael Duffy is playing brilliant at the moment, to be fair, and they need to keep him fit. It's amazing how it's still some of the older players, Roland Boyce, etc. When I say the older players, the more established players that were there, Adam O'Reilly, Michael Duffy, that are the ones that are making the impact still. A lot of the new players for me still haven't settled. Will they settle is the question. We won't know that probably till the end of the season, but Boyce has been playing up front, but he hasn't actually scored yet this season, for example. Does he continue to play? It's not even the goals, though. I don't think he's been playing very well, if I'm honest with you. Defensively, much stronger. They went to 3 at the back against Sligo Rovers. I'd imagine they might match Shamrock Rovers for that as such, with various degrees of differences in the game at Tallaght Stadium. Rovers will be confident putting in a performance and getting a victory here, I think, in front of their home fans. A lot of their players are back now. Still not too sure on Trevor Clark, but apart from that, they'll have a full strength defence, for example. Midfield, even Jack Burns back available. You've the usual Dylan Watson players of that. Tink Mandrew's going to be back here. Up front is the one for me with Shamrock Rovers as well. Do you go with Green, Gaffney, who's not fully fit, or Noonan? Green scored the last day. He might get the nod, maybe. But it's an interesting one at the moment. They haven't got a striker where you're kind of going, that's definitely the number 1 striker at this minute in time, have they? They're still searching for that, and for various different reasons. Michael Noonan's still very young, remember, too. But they've got Graham Burke, haven't they? And Graham Burke is a match winner. And I just think Shamrock Rovers have more match winners in their squad than Derry City. Derry, as I said, will be hoping to bring the confidence of the win at the showgrounds to Tallaght Stadium, maybe getting something now of the game, which would be brilliant for them. But I just fancy Shamrock Rovers in this one, so I'm going to go for Shamrock Rovers 2, Derry City 0. So that's about it, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. As usual, throw down your predictions, subscribe to the channel, and once again, thanks for watching. See you later.